I read the ancient Hebrews and others could preserve grape juice unfermented for a year. Oh yeah, absolutely. They had all kinds of really clever ways of keeping it from fermenting because where do we go when we're talking about the sin of beverage alcohol, right? We don't just use the New Testament. I mean, we do use New Testament passages, but not exclusively New Testament. We go to the Old Testament. Um, this is one of my favorites right here. In If I can get it lined up right, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get it all on the screen. Oh, there we go. Okay, yeah, I want the whole thing on the screen so I can read through it. Uh, It says, "Who has woe? Who has sorrow? Who has contentions? Who has complaints? Who has wounds without cause? Who has redness of eyes? Those who linger long at the wine, those who go in search of mixed wine. Do not look on the wine when it is red, when it sparkles in the cup, when it swirls around smoothly. At the last, it bites like a serpent and stings like a viper. Your eyes will see strange things, and your heart will utter perverse things. Yes, you will be like one who lies down in the midst of the sea, or like one who lies at the top of the mast, saying, They have struck me, but I was not hurt. They have beaten me, but I did not feel it. When shall I awake that I may seek another drink?" Right? It's very obvious that this passage is dealing with a full blown alcoholic, right? This is somebody who drinks themselves into a stupor, has injuries because of their fallen down drunkenness, and all they can think about when they wake up from their blackout drunk is getting another drink. Very obviously, it's talking about a full blown alcoholic. But what does it say to do to avoid becoming this person? Does it say limit yourself to one drink a day? Does it say only drink socially, only drink on special occasions? Does it say any of that? What is wisdom's counsel to not be this person, to not be this fallen down drunk right here in this passage? What is wisdom's counsel? Uh, well, it is to not even look at it. Do not look on the wine when it is red, when it sparkles in the cup, right? You're not going to get addicted to something that you won't even look at. Right? That's the point, right? So, people who say in response to the sound biblical teaching of total abstinence from beverage alcohol, total abstinence from intoxication, recreational I understand that there are medications even I don't agree with the idea that you have to go to a doctor to get a prescription to treat yourself, right? So even if it is uh, self-prescribed, self-care, right? That's not the same thing as recreational intoxication. It's not. So, uh, someone who says that the Bible condemns drunken, the Bible doesn't condemn drinking, it condemns drunkenness. I love to bring them to this passage because this passage, and after reading the passage, they say the same thing every time. See, that's talking about an alcoholic. Yeah, I know. I know that's talking about an alcoholic. Obviously, it's talking about an alcoholic. But what does the Holy Spirit say? What is wisdom's counsel to not become an alcoholic, to not be this person? Don't even look at it. Total abstinence. Total abstinence. That's what the Bible teaches about beverage alcohol. Total abstinence. Okay? So, back to the point, the Hebrews were not drunks. The Hebrews of Jesus' day when he supposedly made 160 gallons, I think, if I remember right. Uh, enough beverage alcohol, if what people say is right, enough beverage alcohol to get the village of Cana fallen down drunk many times over. Uh, the Hebrews, if Jesus had created beverage alcohol at the wedding of Cana, the Hebrews would have rightfully chastised him and rightfully condemned him for committing a sin. It says, and I believe it's in Amos or Hosea, maybe. It calls giving your neighbor alcohol to drink a sin. Jesus did not sin. That was not beverage alcohol that Jesus created. That was grape juice, the freshest, purest, tastiest grape juice any of them had ever tasted, because the creator of grapes created it right there on the spot. And so, man, wouldn't you have loved to had a taste of that? Or the fish and the bread that he made. That had to be the best fish sandwiches anybody ever had, ever. Right? Uh, wouldn't you have loved to have gotten a taste of that? Well, so people read the word wine from the modern day understanding of wine. The Hebrews were not this passage right here is from the Old Testament, the Hebrew Bible. The Hebrews were not drunks. They weren't drinkers. So yes, they developed ways, ingenious ways, really, uh, thousands of years before refrigeration, for preserving fresh juice. One of the ways they would do that is they would boil it down to a paste, and they would smear it out on leaves, or whatever they used to smear it out on, and let it dry, and then they would scrape it off. They made Kool-Aid out of it, right? So that they could take that powder and reconstitute it in water and have grape juice. Another way that they would preserve it is they would seal it in clay jars with wax around the seal to keep it sealed tight, and they would sink it down in the bottom of wells where it was cold, to keep it cold, to keep it fresh longer. So yeah, they came up with some good ways to preserve the fresh grape juice so that it wouldn't ferment, because they didn't want it fermented. When it fermented, it was time to throw it out, because they didn't want to. Which way am I pointing? They didn't want to become this, right? So this that it's the problem of reading an ancient text as though it was written to modern man. No, it was written to the immediate audience at that time. And we have to the best of our ability, close that historical distance and read it the way that they would have read it, put ourselves in their shoes, because it's only when we understand it the way that they would have understood it, the way that the writer originally intended it for the original audience. It's only when we read it that way that we can come to the correct application of it for ourselves, right? Because it can't mean now what it didn't mean then. Right? If it didn't mean that then we do wrong to try to make it mean that now.